Snack time, snack time, snack time, snack time, snack time, snack time, snack time. All right.
Yes, people. Welcome back to Snack Time, Season 2. Oh, sorry. Here we are. I'm pretty excited. I'm changing the camera angle. Remembered how to do it properly. How about that? Pretty proud of myself. Whoa. Okay, so today, to come back, we have an amazing show. Sandrine Charles is on the show. You may have heard of her. They've written about her in magazines such as Vogue. Do you know Vogue? She is a publicist, but she's a real powerhouse publicist. And she's doing a lot more than that right now because she started something with a colleague of hers, or a friend of hers named Leslie Peoples, called Black in Fashion Council. It is promoting black people in the fashion world to be able to have meaningful career paths and have their voices heard, and also helping companies institute programs, various programs, which she can speak to way better than I can, as usual. I'm going to throw to that interview in a bit. What is my snack? Good question. Well, it's right here. It's frozen. It's melting. We got to get to the interview. Otherwise, you're never going to get to see it. So, without further ado, I'm so excited to be back. Shout out to the folks at SNS. Shout out to everyone who helps on this. You know who you are. Read the credits. They're there. I'm going to go to the interview. All right, we're here with Sandrine Charles. Welcome to Snack Time.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. You are a Snack Time family already by way of, the fact that you work with SNS. You are their publicist. You do a pretty darn good job. And just thank you for my behalf, because I know that you've put out a press release and stuff about Snack Time, letting the world know about it, right?
Of course.
And that's what you do. You're like a kind. I'm sorry to say this. I always blow up people's spots here. You're kind of a mega publicist.
Oh, thank you.
And, yeah, you are. But that's not why we're here to talk today. Of course, we can touch on that. I want to know more about, your upbringing, where you're from, how you got into this. But we're here to talk about the Black in Fashion Council that you co-founded with a friend of yours. You can tell us a bit about her as well, and kind of let us know what that is, if you will.
So Lindsay Peoples, the editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue, and myself, we have founded the Black in Fashion Council, which was announced last month in June. And the basis of the council is a collaborative collective to work for not only equality, but equity for Black people in the fashion and beauty space. And so what we've learned over quarantine, during this pandemic, there have been so many things that have resurfaced that I believe we are numb to, because we're so used to hearing about it, but being stagnant and in place during recent events, which has transpired into the protests and everything else coming to surface, has really led us to have a conversation, not only with ourselves, but our peers, who about 40 of them appear in our executive board, and then advisors, which are legendary people in our industry who,
That's okay.
who are really, really important to the conversation, which are our advisors for the board. So it's been a lot of work over the past month, and we're excited.
So it's only been a month, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you guys are ready? I saw you did a piece on GMA, right?
You were at GMA.
And you've kind of gotten a few hits, and you haven't even officially launched.
No, we launch very soon. I mean, we're very excited to launch officially and share with everyone all of the work we've been doing, all of the brands that are getting involved. and also the ongoing conversations. What's really important to note is that we're not only working alongside brands and working with our peers in the industry, we're creating a process that is over 3 years through the Human Rights Index score to see where the problems lie within these businesses and work with them. We have progress reports, we have touch bases. We're so excited to really make change, like systematic, long-term strategic change over the next couple of years.
Yeah, that it sounds like that's like a Mount Everest kind of to climb. But if ever there was anyone to do it, I know it'd be you, and I'm sure your co-founder Lindsay is just as hard of a worker. I think what you're doing is very important. I think that are you eating your snack right now? Is that what that was?
No,
as we sit here and talk about this very important thing. Sorry, what is that?
This.
Yes.
It is a healthy juice concoction. So it is one of the core juices with a splash of Casamigos. And then my snack.
Yeah, I always forget to ask for. I jump right in, and I always forget to ask the snack. What did you bring to the table today?
Welch's, of course, family farm owned, a mixed fruit. We have them all over the office. We also have chips and other things that I'm not eating. But these are my go-to. They're on my bar cart in my office, and whenever
I love that. I love the Welch's. I got frozen yogurt. It's melting, just like I am. I'm like sweating bullets. But yeah, I was like, you know what?
90 degrees in New York.
Our first episode back in a while. I gotta really get something. You want to get something healthy and stuff. I'm like, nah, I gotta do it for the show, man.
You have to do it for the streets.
Yeah, not that I didn't want yogurt, frozen yogurt, or anything. Speaking of doing for the streets, so getting back to our subject at hand, a lot of people have been talking about how streetwear culture, high fashion culture of all types, music, film, everything, but you're dealing more with fashion, are really influenced by the kind of trickle up, right, of whether it's black style, black music, black arts, are consistently influencing fashion. And it's high time that African Americans or black people in general get their due.
That's Caribbean.
Pardon me? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get their due in terms of having, obtaining positions in companies that are not just kind of cosmetic, not
being
just
stakeholders in companies and in spaces where we are influencers and is very important. I think that one thing to note is that, through the history of this country, Black people have always contributed to different categories and different industries, but never had equity in these spaces. Yes. So I think that we're in such a different headspace at this point in time that it's important for not only everyone to acknowledge what's going on, but be very cognizant on how they move forward and what kind of individual and systematic change they can be.
And I think a lot of times we may not notice it as consumers as much, or like when you have less experience, because you see the retail face oftentimes have people of color, have black kids working at retail, sponsored athletes or musicians, whatever it may be, that are sponsored by clothing lines will be black, and obviously I don't mean exclusively, but they'll have a more diverse.
But you see, the contribution is more so on a granular level than more on a C-suite level. It doesn't really
exactly. It's when you start kind of having the meetings or even seeing some behind-the-scenes footage or interviews, and you realize that there really is a ceiling in the American fashion world, or globally, really, for Black people.
Fashion world, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a global problem, and that's why we also have executive board members in various countries. We have one in Italy, we have one in Germany, we have one that is traditionally based in the UK, however, is here due to COVID. we understand that it's such a larger conversation to have, and that we need to continue to have it in order to make that global change too. I think a lot of people think it's only national because Lindsay and myself are here, but
Right.
we also are, and we've been in the fashion space for myself and Lizzie over a decade, and we're at international fashion weeks. We are present with different brands and companies, so we're very aware of what is going on outside of this.
Have you ever had personal experience with kind of being not being given a promotion or an opportunity or whatnot, or because
I think it was more so on like the interview process level. Like I always knew I was great. I definitely practiced my craft. I definitely knew that I could contribute to the larger conversations that were in mind. But I think it was more discouraging on a junior level and a mid level, going in like, hey, like I'm going for all these, what I know from interning for 2 years in college, these are the types of positions I should be applying to. And, and not getting them was always like, oh, well, maybe it's me. And like, now as an adult with more intel, it's like, okay, maybe it wasn't you, and it's fine. But I wrote an op-ed for Harper's Bazaar, and I'm like, my trajectory was not what I expected. And I also think that for where I am today, it was kind of a blessing. I only really had one microaggressive workplace experience with a previous boss who I thought we were cool, but like she actually told the other director that she blocked me on Instagram because she was scared of me. I'm like, you're scared of me? I'm actually doubling our profit in my department, not even her sector,
right?
Mine. And I don't even talk to you. I don't even care what you do. Like I'm doing my job. And so it always stuck with me. And back in the day, I used to think, oh my God, she just doesn't like me. But like as an adult, I'm like, oh no, she was hella microaggressive to me. She, also afterwards thought that like we were cool. And I'm like, did I miss something? Like, where did I miss the conversation thread here? So I always say that like, just be aware of what's going on in like your space, and that like people are not incorrect when they're like, I felt uncomfortable at work, or this person said this to me, it happens. It's very true.
I think we've come to a point where people, I hope that I have stopped doubting people when they're like, oh, like, are you sure? I don't think that's what it was, because it's so, wow, you're a force to be reckoned with. Your texts, your notifications.
I won't stop. I'm not even responding. I'm like, I clicked everything off.
Here I am worried about the sound of my computer's fan, kind of, and I'm like, it's all good. But I think that people are realizing that all this stuff is real, and people are not going to try and accuse someone of something and go through the pain of doing that and the possibility of being blackballed by a company or an industry if it's not true. You know what I mean? So,
and I think that after George Floyd's unfortunate murder, we started seeing a lot of people coming to the forefront and sharing stories and intel that honestly would have gotten you fired before.
Absolutely.
Like things that literally would have ended your career if you had the audacity to speak up. So it's also, no one really wants to put their business out on the line to be scrutinized. So imagine doing it and doing it to just like share insight and hopefully change the next person's experience.
And we're seeing it across the board, not just in fashion. I think, a lot of the sectors we see it in tend to be entertainment, whether it's sports, fashion, you can lump all this into, or like TV, movies, whatever. But there are people speaking up in sectors that you and I don't really pay attention to because it's not part of our lives. And I think that's the big change.
It's global. It's like a bigger conversation. I can't believe this is still going on.
I mean, is that your client? Just like being like, where are you?
I know, but I also clicked it off. Anyway, it's across the board. I think for us, the focus has to be in our industry because we can only unify and collaborate and create change here to then go a little wider. There are so many great groups. My friend Brianna co-founded The Show Must Be Stopped, which was the original Blackout Tuesday. And her and Jamila, who were colleagues and great women in music, really got the attention of their peers in the music industry and had those conversations, which they're still having. So it's really great to see everybody gathering together right now to have these larger scale conversations, which, you're scared of losing your job to maybe bring some of this up in the past.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's about doing the right thing. I know you haven't launched officially yet, right? And so are you not announcing who's like a member and whatnot?
So initially when we first started the conversation and we soft announced last month, we had about 400 members who are peers and colleagues in the industry. After we did, our signups have obviously launched through the roof. We have thousands of people that are engaged with us and excited about this, and membership. I'm so sorry, membership signups.
So, but that's on an individual basis, right? How about the companies? I want to see if you can.
The companies with our official launch in 2 weeks. So
okay.
I think it's really exciting to see in bulk who has stepped up to the plate and is willing to make these changes.
And what is it like for a member as an individual? One, and two, I know that you're signing up the companies to a sort of commitment, and I believe it was going to be a 3-year deal and stuff like that. Can you speak on that a little bit? So
once a brand or company signs on, Lindsay and myself will obviously be integral in the day-to-day communications. But in addition, the purpose of the executive board is to have experts within these categories that are also going to work alongside these brands to support them and to direct them into the right conversation or spaces. Mm-hmm. Now, this isn't saying that they're consulting or we're consulting. We are helping you navigate the playing field to figure out how to do your best in your D&I efforts outside of just having a D&I person. What does it look like?
Define D&I for the diversity. Go ahead.
Diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
And so if your priority is education, then we have 4 people on the education board, and we will dedicate 1 to 2 people per brand or client or company or brand that makes sense to help you. And we will guide you and work with you alongside whatever initiatives we also have into play. So this is a bigger thing. Like, we're working with schools. We are partnering with different, you'll see upon launch, different companies.
I'm like, come on, Sandrine, let me know.
The thing is, we're very tight-lipped.
This is family, SNS, Parks Department,
This
Sandrine.
is all family. But we also have to, we also want to launch thoughtfully.
I appreciate
business
that.
Women, and so we wouldn't want to piecemeal things along the way. We want people to know that this is something that we have poured our hearts into.
Yes.
And we are 100% invested, not only business-wise, because we own it. We own the name, don't try it.
Yeah.
But we are just personally invested in, and so many people have reached out to us, and we're taking calls with so many other organizations because we want it to feel collaborative. It's not us and then you have your own thing. It's like, we all want the same thing. Let's work together on this. And I think that's the beauty of it all. The unification has been an amazing thing to see.
And what does it look like for an individual, and who is signing up? All types of people? Is it younger, older, demographic? Go ahead.
I mean, as a member, you have to be Black.
Okay.
So it's Black creatives in the fashion and beauty space, whether you work in production, marketing, HR, products, anything. I think that that's also important to note, that we are very aware that there are so many people in different categories that we may or may not have community with at the moment, but we're really rallying and championing to foster those relationships as a whole. There is a great deal of work to do. I mean, we're honestly shocked at the things that we don't personally know per se, in each sector, and having these conversations has really brought that to the forefront. So
But the
we're
intention,
excited to,
the how intentional it is very, Black creatives that work in fashion and in these companies. I think that it's very intentional already, and that's going to help you, A, figure out your roadmap, and B, achieve your goals. As even though they're very long term goals, of course. So
I mean, we're very strategic about this. We have a whole plan set for every company and every brand, and how the goals are going to be achieved. And we want people to also note that this is something that takes time. We are about really the change we want to see, so we're not a cancel culture. And
it's about accountability, right?
all about accountability.
That's it.
I mean, if you hold someone accountable, it gives them an opportunity to change.
Yeah.
Versus cutting them off, and they have no. Some people just don't have the same, intel. They don't know why, or so you have to kind of give them a chance to figure it out.
I think that is an amazing approach. I applaud you. I wanted to get into more questions. We'll save that for another time. Yeah. I want to let you go because, I hear the dings. I have a feeling Ebony's texting you.
No, she's running around the showroom doing a pull. But I will say that when I say I'm crazy slammed, I really am, and I'm so happy. We had some time for friends today, friends and family here. I love your SNS Night Film Festival tee.
Oh, you like that? Yeah. I have a feeling. I wonder if SNS is going to be involved with the Black and Fashion Council.
Wait and see. Wait and see.
I guess she says with a smile. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. I know you're super busy. You're so busy, as I think I might have alluded to when we first got on the call before we recorded the show. I asked a mutual friend, like, I know she's busy, but is she that busy? And he was like, you have no clue how busy this woman is. You have no idea.
That's why I ride my bike to work. It's my new, mind clearing moment.
That's good. I saw that. I saw you're doing it in recycled shoes too.
Might you ever see my shoes?
Yes. Awesome. I'll show you. Oh no, I'm not wearing them. Never mind.
Economically friendly, but also pushing on sustainability.
Very
Arthur,
cool.
I'm so glad that you had time for me today, and I can't wait.
I'm glad you did for me. Thank you.
Come back with updates for you.
All right. I can't wait to have you back on. Thank you, Sandrine.
Thank you.
How about that? How about being productive during this challenging time? Oh God, this is going to create an echo. Sorry. The quarantine. What happened after George Floyd's murder and the protests that came out of it. And that's what Sandrine and her partner put together. If you're a Black creative and you work in fashion, I urge you to join the Black and Fashion Council. At least check it out. And if you're not a Black creative, or if you don't work in fashion, have a look-see anyway. Follow the Instagram. This is a way that you can support your peers or your community. There's donating, there's marching. This is also something, being up to date on what's going on and helping them push their agenda. I wanted us to come back with this because I knew Sandrine was working on this, with this as our launch for season 2. We'll be having some fun with notable people. There's no question about it. There's some fun people booked that are considered celebrities and whatnot. But I want to have a couple people who are doing projects in the community that are helping that have kind of come out of this time. This show came out of work from home, so I'm kind of interested in talking to a few other people. I have something very interesting coming up in terms of the person who started the first community fridge in New York City, in Bushwick, that has influenced other community fridges. That'll be next. And then we'll keep it moving. I really have to thank SNS for giving me this platform. This is a fun, irreverent show. I eat, unhealthy snacks. Other people bring healthy snacks sometimes. Sandrine did not today, although she thinks she did. But they're letting me kind of do what I want to do with this. So shout out to SNS. Alana, I love you. Everyone else there, you're okay too. I'm just kidding. I love all y'all. Thank you so much. All right, people. I'm not going to keep you for any longer. I'm sure there's a sneaker dropping that you want to cop. I don't blame you. Once again, I did not get the Jordan 4s, the cool color. I didn't get those, the Virgil ones. I'm not good at this. At that. I'm good at this. I'm very good at this. All right. Have a good one. See you next week.
Great!